कुम्भविबोधमुद्रां विद्याविराजत्करवारिजाताम् अपारकारुण्यसुधाम्बुराशिं श्रीशारदाम्बां प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्.
Thank you very much. So, Andrew, would you like to start reading?
Hi. So, I think we're at the section Freedom from the Bondage of Actions. Sanchita karma is destroyed by the firm knowledge, I am Brahman alone. The agami karma is also destroyed by knowledge, and the wise man is not affected by it, as a lotus leaf is not affected by the water on it. Padma patram ivam basa. Further, to those who praise, serve, and worship the wise man go the results of the actions done by the wise man. To those who criticize, hate, or cause pain to the wise man go the results of all unpraiseworthy and sinful actions done by the wise man. Conclusion. Thus the knower of the self, having crossed samsara, attains supreme bliss here itself. The Shruti affirms, the knower of the self goes beyond all sorrow. Let the wise man cast off his body, kasan, or in the house of a dog-eater. It is immaterial because, at the time of gaining knowledge itself, he is liberated, being freed from all the results of his actions. So assert the Smritis too. Thus ends the prakarana called Tattva Bodhah.
Very nice. So with this reading, we have finished the text of Tattva Bodhah. And now we are ready to see if there are any doubts or any questions or any need of clarification. And also, if we can finish today, if you don't want to ask something or if you don't want to ask for elaboration or clarification, we can start from our next Satsanga with our next Shastra, the Bhagavad Gita. So anybody who would like to ask something or clarify something? All the rest, please keep your microphone closed so we can have a clear audio in our recording.
Namaste, Acharya. So we talk about vasanas when we talk about karma too. So can you be a bit elaborative about vasanas and what they actually mean and how do they affect the karmas and everything? Thank you.
So vasanas are something very, very important topic, a very important topic in Advaita Vedanta, because this is what is creating our next lifetimes, next projections of dream lifetimes. And vasanas are most of the time they are responsible for our suffering and our misery. So vasanas is somehow what you have all the time creating as a domino effect. Let's say you say to yourself, this person yesterday didn't talk well to me. She used very tough words to me. And this thought is producing a next thought. Okay, she didn't spoke very nice to me. She have been using very tough words, and that means that she hates me. Then this thought may create another thought. Okay, because she hates me, then I should stop this relationship. And then this thought may create another thought. Okay, tomorrow I will call her to have a meeting, have a cup of tea together, and I will ask her to stop seeing each other. Now, from this one vasana, one thought, we have now the ending point where we have destroyed a relationship. And this relationship may be a nice one. Maybe this lady was very much in troubles in her life. Maybe she had a very bad day in general. And maybe she didn't meant to use tough words. But this thought, these vasanas, have created this end result. Now, this relationship will not end up in this last meeting, because this lady will continue to have strange thoughts about the person, and the person also will have strange and tough words about this lady, and this will lead to a karmic debt, how we call it, a karmic debt which needs to be cleared out in a next Janma, a next dream lifetime. And if this dream lifetime, the next one, will not end, will not finish the problem, this debt will continue to a next, even next Janma, next lifetime, and so on and so forth. Another example is when you are a kid and you want to play into the sea, and you like to take a stone and throw it to the sea, and then around the sea, around the point where the stone is going inside, you can see these circles around this point. So it's like that. It is like a thought which is producing next thoughts, next actions, and also it is producing a karmic debt. This debt will always made you to project a new Janma, a new lifetime, until this debt will be dissolved. So vasanas are also the cause of what we call Sanchita karma, the store of karma, the total account of karma. And also we can call it the predispositions of the mind. So as we are creating vasanas, these vasanas, they turn out to be predispositions of the mind. They tend to be habitual thinking, and also in themselves they are creating habitual activity, and this habitual activity is creating problems in this lifetime, but most of the time in the next Janmas, the next lifetimes. So vasanas is the main problem, and vasanas is that which has to be resolved. Vasanas is also responsible for a very, very strong ego. So the ego, with the help of vasanas, becomes even more difficult to be dissolved. The ego, as we said earlier, in reality does not exist as a separate entity, as a separate individual entity. It is rather a function, a mechanism, which is very useful in what we call practical life, in the Vyavaharika level, in the empirical reality, but it is a very awful master. It can be a wonderful servant, just like the mind, but it can be also a very bad master when it takes control of the life. So we can speak a lot about vasanas, and until the vasanas are dissolved, we cannot speak of liberation or moksha, because the vasanas will continue to create these illusory misconceptions about our true identity, about our true self. The vasana, for example, is also the false idea, the false belief that I am the body-mind complex, that I am an individual, a person, a jivatma, an ego. This is a vasana. This false belief, this false misconception. And this mental conclusion has to be resolved. Actually, the Mahavakyams, the great statements or the great equations, are doing nothing else than destroying, dissolving these apparent mental conceptions that we are a body-mind complex, an individual, a jivatma, a person, an ego. So true liberation, true moksha, and self-realization can appear only if we deal with the vasanas. The vasanas will also create a lot of tyranny in our everyday life. There are some people who are, because of our vasanas, are creating a lot of attachment for us. If we have, let's say, children, we cannot relax because of the vasanas. We may say we will relax when my children will end up in the university. Then a next vasana will appear. Okay, now they have finished university, but I can relax, I can be peaceful without worries if my children will end up in a beautiful company, in a beautiful career. If our children will end up in a beautiful career, in a beautiful company with a very big salary, then it may appear the next modification of the vasana. Now I can be happy, I can be peaceful and without worries if my children will get married. When my children will get married, I will have a next modification of my vasanas. I can be happy when I will see grandchildren. When the grandchildren will appear, the next vasana or the modification of the next vasana will be, I need to see the marriage of my grandchildren. and so on and so forth. And that is only an example of how the vasanas can completely ruin, Andrew? ruin our lifetimes, our dream lifetimes. So it is very, very important to deal with the vasanas, and the vasanas are the cause of papam and also of punyam, which means papam, our bad karma, and punyam, our good karma. So look at the vasanas as tendencies and vrittis, which is the Sanskrit word, thought waves in the mind. So a vasana is a wave in your mind. And this wave have the tendency not to stop, but also rising up again and again and again without ending, and creating more and more waves of itself, until we will use the fire or the light of the truth, of jnana, self-knowledge, and destroy this vasana. So it is a vritti, it is a wave, a thought wave in the mind, which will never stop its road, its path, without dealing with it in a proper way, and in particular with jnana, with self-knowledge. So I don't know if you would like more to elaborate. Please do so. Ask me if you need.
That was pretty explanatory, Acharya. Thank you very much.
Most welcome. Anyone else? So as you see, Tattva Bodhah is closing by giving us, by telling us the benefits and what will be our earning from self-knowledge. And what is that? It is Jivan Mukta. It is liberation, enlightenment, self-realization while living in this dream lifetime. How? Through self-knowledge, through destroying all our mental gossiping, wrong conceptions about our true nature, about our true self. And how it does this destroyment of the false misconceptions? By the great Mahavakyams, by the great equations, such as Tate Tvam Asi, I am that. Which that? Infinite consciousness, awareness, Brahman. I was never, ever a person, a jivatma, an ego. I was always and always will be Brahman. Infinite consciousness, awareness, without any problem, in total perfection. But first of all, we need to have this discrimination as Tattva Bodhah taught us through Atma, Anatma discrimination. What is Atma? What is true self, true reality? And what is Anatma? What is illusion? What is not our true self? And all this, what we consider that it is ourselves, it is nothing else than distortions of our face of consciousness. It is like you want to see your face in a mirror, and the mirror is dirty. what will happen with your face in the mirror? Your face in the mirror will look distorted. Especially if this mirror is a strange mirror, like these mirrors they have in the circus. It may show your face elongate or very flat or in a strange way. Now, your real face do not change really when it comes in front of such a mirror. Your face remains the same. But nevertheless, when you come in front of such a mirror, you look at the face and the face is distorted. So it is the same with our pancha kosas. The Annamaya kosa, the Pranamaya kosa, the Vijnanamaya kosa, and the Anandamaya kosa, and these seeds are just a distortion of our true face as consciousness. And the same with the big distortion of the universe and even God, Isvara, or Paramatma, is just a distortion of infinite consciousness. That's why we call as Nirguna and Saguna. So Nirguna Brahman is Brahman without any gunas, without any attributes, and Saguna Brahman is a distorted version of Brahman, Brahman with gunas, with attributes, with characteristics. Nevertheless, Brahman consciousness never changes. It is through the prism that we look at Brahman, that we look at consciousness. When we look at consciousness, our true self, through the prism of the thinking process, it takes a distorted version. Just like when we use, as I mentioned, these distorted mirrors, these mirrors that can give a distorted version of your body or of your face. So it is the same with the power of consciousness when it is with a distorted version or with a non-distorted version. Another example is with the sun. We may take, let's say, 6 different mirrors, and each mirror can have a different nature, can have a different structure. If we put these mirrors in front of the sun, the light of the sun in the face of the mirrors will be a different one. A dirty mirror will not reflect the same power of the sunlight. A more clean mirror will reflect much more the power of the sun, the power of the light of the sun. And it is the same with what we call panchakosas, what we call these seeds of consciousness. That's why we may see different kind of apparent beings. Some beings are distorting a lot the truth and consciousness, and some other beings are more are less distorting consciousness. A jnani, for example, will reflect the truth more than an ignorant person. Nevertheless, consciousness itself have never been distorted in the jnani or in the what we call the common or the ignorant person. So it is the same consciousness which is remaining always the same, always unobstructed, always effulgent and pure, but the medium is changing. So the true nature of even a beggar or a killer or a saint, the true essence is always the same consciousness. The medium, the reflected medium, is what is changing. So upon looking at our true nature as infinite consciousness, we can be a good reflector of the truth of the light. And of course, of the bliss that we are made of as in our true essence. So it is very important to remember that Advaita Vedanta in general and Tattva Bodhah in particular is showing to us the path to the recognition of the truth. This is the goal and the benefit of Tattva Bodhah in particular and from the Advaita Vedanta in general. It is to recognize our true nature, our true self, as identical to Brahman, and to say one day with total conviction, permanent recognition and conviction, Aham Brahmasmi. I have been always Brahman. I have been always infinite consciousness awareness. I am not, and I have never been, a Jivatma, a soul, although I appear so, or the body-mind appears so. So the total and most important message of Advaita Vedanta and all Upanishads is the Aikyam, the sameness of Jivatma with Paramatma. And at the end, the recognition that I am Brahman. When we see that, when we are aware of that, and there is no any doubt, there is no any misconception or any difficult in our heart of hearts to accept that, then this is the goal, this is the benefit of this study of Tattva Bodhah in particular, and of the entire Vedantic Sastram in general. So Upanishads always are leading us to the Mahavakyams. Actually, moksha, self-realization, liberation, is just the total acceptance of Mahavakyams, the great statements, the great equations, such as Tate Tvam Asi or Aham Brahmasmi. This total recognition and conviction in a permanent base is exactly what it means moksha, self-realization, liberation, enlightenment. Although in Advaita Vedanta we don't use so much the term enlightenment. Why? Because enlightenment have a very mystical taste, and in reality it is more clear the truth than the mystical taste. So it is not about, as I said before, having an exotic event of enlightenment, because enlightenment or self-realization or moksha is not an event in space-time. It is a total recognition on a permanent base, a conviction that I have been always, and there is only me, infinite consciousness, awareness, Brahman. So that is the benefit of Tattva Bodhah. This is how Tattva Bodhah stops by saying to us, this is the benefit if you study this text, if you study and practice in the entire Advaita Vedanta lineage and path, is moksha, the four purusartha, the fourth goal. Which are the three previous goals? For those who don't remember, it is first is artha, which means wealth and things we need in this life. Then it is kama, which means any kind of desires that we have and attachments. Then it is dharma, which is leading and following a spiritual lifestyle, a moral life. And finally, moksha, which is the fourth goal, the four purusartha in the Vedantic Sastra, but in general in Sanatana Dharma also, which is also, moksha itself liberates us even from the three previous ones. So moksha can liberate us even from following Dharma. How come? Because we follow Dharma as an individual. When we see that we are not an individual, then what is the meaning of Dharma? There is no meaning at all. So for a jnani, there is no meaning even for Dharma. Although a jnani, a self-realized one, will follow the Dharma, will go with the laws of Dharma, will lead a wonderful life, will dedicate the rest of his or her life to the service for humanity, what we call Citta Suddhi, will also continue to keep his mind clean and purified. And also, of course, will continue to do Loka Sangraham, which means service to the humanity and society. Leading a life which is always an example for the rest of the people. But deep inside him, he knows that he is beyond the three purusarthams, he is beyond even moksha. Why? Because he knows that there is no moksha in the first place, because there is no individual in the first place. So if there is only Brahman, where is the meaning of moksha? If there have never been an individual, a jivatma, and this is only Maya, then what is the meaning of moksha? So he looks to the so-called others as a jnani. Everybody says he's a jnani, he's a self-realized one. He have attained moksha, but he himself, he knows that there is no such thing as moksha. There is no such thing as bodhas, and there is no such thing as liberation from bodhas. Why? Because he knows that there is only Brahman, there is only consciousness. And this is what he is. This is what he has been forever and ever. So by concluding today, Tattva Bodhah, we are ready to go to study together the next text, holy text of Bhagavad Gita. And if you don't have any comments or things that you would like to clarify or ask, then we can proceed with meditation, guided meditation, and close our today's Satsanga. Yes.
So when you realize that the ego or the person that you think you are doesn't exist, do you, just to clarify, you lose all sense of being an individual? There's no sense of individuality at all.
So you recognize that there is a body-mind complex, there is a character or a protagonist in a movie. You watch this movie, you allow this movie to end. You know that the scenario of this movie have already been written and you cannot change this scenario, and you just allow it to end. You know that you are not an individual. You may see the appearance of what we call anatma. You continue to see this world. You continue to see the apparent beings. You continue to see the apparent objects and the entire apparent universe. But at the same moment, you know that it is an appearance in you, the screen of consciousness. It's like that you are a huge, you feel like you are a huge cinema screen. And you say, wow, I'm so strange screen, and on me appearing so many wonderful things. It appears the sun, it appears human beings, appearing the moon, appearing the stars, appearing beautiful flowers, appearing even my family, what may call family. But at the same moment, you are experiencing everything as a movie, just like you are looking at a movie in the cinema. But this time you know that the screen is you. You don't have this feeling of somebody who is going to the cinema, but he has the feeling of individuality. He knows that he is sitting on the chair, and in front of him, outside of him, this is his perception, that outside of him, there is the screen of the cinema and the external so-called world. But for a jnani, there is no such discrimination. A jnani feels himself, in inverted commas, of course, in himself, he feels like he's a huge screen in the cinema. He feels that this screen, on this screen, everything appears and disappears, and he feels that this screen is always unchanging, unmodifying itself. So he accepts, he or she or it doesn't matter, because he don't feel that he is a he or she or it. The feeling is that he is not a human being, he is not a being, but rather beingness, impersonal beingness, impersonal screen of consciousness, awareness. So he don't feel, again, we should speak in this dualistic language with he, when in reality, a jnani don't feel that he is a he, a him, or a person. But for the dualistic language, and in order to convey what I want to say, I can say that he feels that he is not a being, an individual being, and that he is impersonal awareness consciousness. And this screen is huge. He feels it is a huge screen that he is. And that screen have the infinite capacity to accommodate infinite things, infinite objects, infinite apparent beings, infinite apparent phenomena, relationships, and so on and so forth. But he knows that it is himself, that it is itself. He knows that everything appears on himself as screen of consciousness. It's very difficult to explain, but when I say himself, it's not himself for him. It is a screen. It is just something like a field, a space-like field that he feels that he is. Whereupon this space-like field, everything appears and disappears. When he speaks to somebody, an apparent somebody, he feels that he speaks to himself. When he is giving something to somebody, he feels that he gives it to himself. When he takes something from somebody, he feels that he takes it from himself. So everything is experienced as himself. There is no any second that he feels that there is something else except himself. He knows that he is nothing of all these apparitions, all these apparent phenomena, apparent beings, apparent objects, apparent universe, but he knows that he is the substratum, the space-like field whereupon everything appears and disappears. And he accommodates without any problem. Like the sky can accommodate any cloud without any problem. So it is very, very difficult to convey the magnificent experience of a jnani. It is very, very difficult to speak about it with the dualistic language. But I guess I did a try. You want to elaborate more? Anyone else who would like to ask or clarify something?
Namaste, Guruji. Malati.
Namaste. Namaste.
So, my pranams to on the occasion of Guru Purnima, please accept them. I would like to listen. Sorry, my English is not good. I want to hear your experiences with your gurus and your journey in this spiritual world. Just a small curiosity.
So thank you very much for your nice words, and I also express always my humble pranams to my Guruji Swami Paramarthananda and the Sringeri, His Holinesses, the Sringeri Jagat Gurus. And I feel that without them, this body-mind complex will be just a zero and nothing more than that. So I own whatever kind of truth I convey that belongs to them and not to this body-mind complex. It belongs to my guru, and His Holiness is the Jagat Gurus, the Sringeri Jagat Gurus, and to the entire Guru Paramparam. And upon saying that, I can express that without a guru, nobody can find the truth by himself. It is just impossible, impossible. Even to learn how to paint a home and to learn this profession, this job, you need to go to an expert and to know this, this profession, this art. Imagine how much you need a guru when it is about self-realization, enlightenment. So the same with my own journey. From when I was 5 years old, I had a lot of mystical experiences, and I was sitting for hours to hours in a meditative posture, and I was experiencing bliss and happiness and peace. And my parents and my brothers and sisters were always worrying why I don't go out and why I don't play with other kids and why I'm sitting so many hours together alone in peace. But gradually, all of them, they felt that I have a strange karma, a strange attitude towards life. So they left me to study from when I was very young, study a lot of scriptures from different traditions, traveling all over to the capital of Greece, Athens, to meet different schools and different spiritual traditions and different teachers. And all my life, it was just the journey of discovering the truth and discovering different spiritual traditions. Most of the years was involved in the Buddhism and in particular Dzogchen tradition, which is also a non-dual approach to the truth, but also many different kind of yogic paths. For a long period also I was involved in secret societies and brotherhoods. I was also involved in very ancient mystical orders, which are on the tradition of Greek ancient mysteries. And also I have been involved a lot in what we call Gnosticism, which is the esoteric core of Christianity. So gradually I've been mostly interested in the non-dual approach to the truth, and I was abandoning little by little all the rest of the spiritual paths. And finally, I have ended up to my Guruji, Swami Paramarthananda, and through his teachings, I have found the most clear and profound expression of the Vedantic teaching. So I consider him one of the few living gurus of Advaita Vedanta, of course, together with the Sringeri, His Holiness the Sringeri Jagat Gurus. And from now on, my life is dedicated to the propagation of Sanatana Dharma in general and Advaita Vedanta in particular, under the guidance, of course, of my Guru, Swami Paramarthananda Ji, and His Holinesses, the Sringeri Jagat Gurus. For the next period of this apparent dream lifetime, my wish is to propagate these teachings, this holy Guru Paramparam, through traveling, through internet, through the establishment of the first Sringeri branch out of India as an ashram in Greece, in Europe. And I pray to Isvara with the grace of my gurus and with the grace of my inner guru, which is of course Brahman, infinite consciousness awareness, to be able to establish also this asrama in Europe. And for this I also request from you who are listening this online Satsanga your support and your help. For example, now we will have 2 trips from 4th of August till 8th of August. We will be in Copenhagen in Denmark. So if you have any friends, you may inform them about our events there. And then from 11th till 15th of August, we will offer as well teachings and initiations in Vienna, in Austria. And we are also in the process of establishing our non-profit organization as an asrama in Greece, in Europe. We have finished also our asrama website, and soon will be live in internet. And soon also would like, with the help of our beautiful Marsa, who is here, to have teachings and initiations in Canada. We have already invitation for Nepal. So the rest of the year will be very busy with a lot of service. But me and Adriu, we are very, very happy that we can have these dream lifetimes worthy of living, and in dedication to the divine teachings of Advaita Vedanta. So I request you, all of you, your help and your prayers for our noble projects. And by saying this, we can start our guided meditation to close our day satsanga, as it is already 4 minutes before 7. So take a comfortable posture. Close your eyes. Try to have your eyes not with tension. Clasp your fingers, your hands together. Keep your spine and torso vertical to the ground, but without any stiffness. Develop inside you the mental attitude that I want to attain moksha for the benefit not only of myself, but for the benefit of the entire Jagat and then all the Jivatmas who are on the same journey in this current period. So develop this intention of attaining moksha, self-realization, liberation, not only for yourself, but also for loka sangraham, for the upliftment of society. And as you relax the anamaya kosa, the physical body, and you keep it in a comfortable posture, relax also the pranamaya kosa by maintaining a smooth breathing. Relax your breathing. And the best way to relax your breathing is by being aware of the breathing. Next step is to create a good atmosphere in Manomaya Kosa, the mental body, the mental seat, by not being attached to the vrittis, to the thought patterns. And the best way to do that is by allowing them, all these vrittis, all these thought waves, accommodate them, but do not give them any importance. If there is a vritti, a thought wave, which is appearing as an emergency, you may speak to yourself by saying, I will deal with this problem after the completion of this guided meditation and of this online satsanga. So have this mental attitude that all the vrittis, all the thought waves are just like the clouds in the sky of your mind. Let them pass by, but without attachment. Next step is to develop intelligence with the Vijnana Maya Kosa, the intelligent body. By remembering the teachings, remembering Mahavakyams, Tattva, Aham Brahmasmi, etc. Detach your real self from the anatma. Become aware of the Anandamaya Kosa, the inherent bliss, peace, and happiness that is already yours forever and ever. But it is veiled, covered from misconceptions, false beliefs, false conclusions about your true self, your true nature. Become aware that if you don't think, you just remain in silence, you can really experience the fulfillment that it is always ever present, but sometimes covered or veiled by the thought waves, the vrittis. So remember that in Vedantic meditation, in Nididhyasana, we are not concerned to destroy the thoughts, such as is the goal in other spiritual paths, but rather in Advaita Vedanta, we discipline the thinking process. We lead the thinking process to Mahavakyams, the great statements. We don't fight with the thoughts. We lead the thinking process to the recognition and conviction to assimilate Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. I am infinite awareness consciousness. Become aware that what is here listening, what is here and knows that it exists. It cannot be a person, a jivatma, an ego, but rather is beingness itself. And what is aware of this listening, of this beingness, it is Saksi Chaitanyam, the witnessing consciousness. Become aware that the witnessing consciousness that you are does not have a beginning point or an ending point. It is without an address, without a location. It is always unlocalized. Become aware that Turiyam, another name for your true nature, your true self, accommodates the three states of consciousness: the apparent dreaming state, the apparent waking state, the apparent deep sleep without dream state, but it is beyond these three states as well. It is what can accommodate anything, but itself is always beyond. Become aware of this infinity that you are. Become aware that what you are have never born, so it can never die. Become aware of this formless, ageless, attributeless nature of yourself. Become aware of this changeless nature, this knowing, knowing, knowing that is yourself. Keep your eyes closed and with full awareness, start moving your body. Open your eyes, but look in front of you, and now unmovable. And become aware of this witnessing consciousness that is looking through the eyes. Identify that what is looking, what knows this looking, is not the eyes. What is looking, become aware that is not imprisoned in the skull of what you call my physical body. Become aware that what is looking and knows that it exists. What is listening cannot be imprisoned in the body. Try to see that what is here looking knows that it exists, is aware of the physical body. It is aware of this listening. Become aware that it does not have any location. It cannot be imprisoned in the physical body. Okay. So who would like close our today's Satsanga with the Vedantic chanting?
I'll do it, Acharya. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.